Before we get into the finishes, one of the most important things before you finish, even whether it's paint or top coats or oils or anything that soaks in, is two things. One is prep, and also to be really thinking about what your end goal is. A lot of times I'd have customers come in and they'd say, oh, I need a finish for, such and such. And my first question would be, what are you trying to accomplish? What kind of look do you want? How's it going to be used? And those are all very, very important questions we'll talk about. But the first thing you want to do, even with raw wood, is you do need to do some prep to get it ready. And that involves cleaning it and sanding it, even brand new wood. So when you're cleaning it, and I always recommend cleaning before you sand it, because anything that's on the wood, if you just go directly to sanding, you're literally sanding it into the wood. And it's probably more important with painting, but it also applies with this. You don't know, where the wood's been. Has it been outside? It might have even a little bit of mold and mildew you can't see on it. So two products that we recommend for cleaning are these two. And these are recommended not only because they do a great job at cleaning, but they won't leave any kind of residue, which is very important. You don't want to leave anything on here that could interfere with any kind of adhesion or anything like that. So you can either use, there's a product called Crud Cutter, which is actually my go-to around our house. It is a fantastic cleaner for many, many different things. You can use it full strength. I would not spray it directly on the wood. I would spray it on just a nice soft rag and just give it a quick wipe down just to get any residues or oils or anything on there that you can't see. Or if you prefer, you can use a 50-50 mix of denatured alcohol and water. Also very, very good. Again, won't leave any kind of residue behind. So you're starting with literally a clean slate. And then before you get into which product you're going to pick, you want to be asking yourself, what is my end goal? What am I trying to accomplish? How's it going to be used? And the differences that'll affect things is, one thing to ask yourself is the look that you want. What kind of wood are you using? If you're using a lighter wood, then either an oil or a water-based product would be fine. The difference would be, there's a slight difference in the look. In the water-based products are very clear. So they won't alter the color, whether it's stained or just raw wood, but they won't alter the color at all. Whereas an oil, most oils have just a little bit of a yellowish or amber tone to them, and so they'll actually impart that a little bit. So here's a piece of red oak, just unfinished, here. And then we took it and we put water base and an oil. So you can see just a little bit of a yellowing ambering here. And wood always is going to change over time anyway. It's going to darken, or this will probably yellow a little bit more over time. This particular finish we'll talk about in a minute. I've used gallons of this at home on projects. It's very good at not yellowing and holding on to that clear. But what kind of look do you want if you're using on a lighter wood? On a darker wood, it actually makes a bigger difference. So here is a piece of walnut, unfinished, and water base, oil base. Now, in a lot of times, depending on how many coats are put on here, you'll get even bigger contrast on it. But a water base being clear, most water-based products kind of give a darker wood what I call more of a washed out look. It doesn't really do much to enhance the look of it. It's not my favorite on a darker wood, but oils do a wonderful job of bringing up the color and the grain in wood. So if it's a darker wood, oils are probably what you want to go to. Certainly don't have to. It's all, it's your choice. But normally an oil-based product is what you want to use when you have a darker wood. You just get a much prettier look, more grain, more of the color will pop on it. So that's one thing to think about. The other thing you want to think about is, do you want a sheen on it? So if you do, then you probably want some kind of a top coat. That's a coating that'll sit on the top, and you can get sheens anywhere from, they call it dead flat, up to a high gloss. The water base literally goes from dead flat to flat. There's 3 kinds of flats. There's satin, semi-gloss, and gloss, so that's a question. The oils start at satin. They don't make them less than that. It's hard for them to do, so you don't typically see a flat in an oil, but you'll see satin, semi-gloss, and gloss. So do you want some kind of a sheen on it? So that's something to ask. The other thing is, if you're going to use a top coat with some kind of a sheen, or not, it could be flat, is a top coat is more about protecting the wood itself from scratches, abrasion, those kind of things. So is it a tabletop that you're concerned about putting things on, maybe a bookcase, getting scratches on it, then you probably want to go to a top coat. Then as that top coat gets marked up, because it will over time, you can give it a light sanding and just put a fresh coat on it and it'll look like brand new on it. If you want more of a natural look to it, so you don't want it to look like there's a top coat on it or any kind of a sheen, but just kind of more just natural, whether it's a lighter or a darker, then you want just a penetrating oil that'll soak in. So not much of it stays up on the top. You'll have a little bit, you'll see kind of between a matte and a satin sheen, just a little bit of a soft glow to it. But it basically soaks in so it doesn't sit on the top and it's more natural looking on it. So just a different kind of look. So first thing is, what kind of wood are you using? Is it a darker or lighter wood? Maybe you have a preference of using water-based versus oil. Most people will find the water-based is actually, I think, a little harder to use than the oils are. A lot of people think the opposite because easy cleanup, no odor and that type of thing. But as far as applying it, oils are actually easier than water-based is, although more and more products are going to the water-based side, so you're going to see more and more of that. What else? Yes, sir?
Is the water-based as durable as oil-based?
Talking about general finishes, yes and no. Depends on the product. So, and we'll talk about that. Let me come back to that one because that's a great question.
Well, as far as application, the one thing that I might add, I haven't used water-based a whole lot, but I've used it a handful of times. But I had some larger panels that I had to brush out, and I just couldn't get it to flow out because of the size of the panel. So I ended up with brush marks in it.
Okay.
And then my solution was to sand it back down flat again, get rid of the brush marks, and then spray it.
Yeah.
And it sprayed beautifully.
Yep, and that's one way to do it. So I've successfully done 4x8 sheets vertically with water-based with a brush.
Okay.
It's about technique. You got to be, well.
Are you saying you're better than me?
Well, maybe at brushing the water-based. But it's something I had to learn too.
Yeah.
Because it is about technique when you're putting it down. There's a little bit more to it. So let's go ahead and talk about the products on it. And I'm actually going to start with this one, which is actually a Beeswax Paste. And this I'm going to start with because it's the least durable. It has its own look. It has pretty specific uses in my opinion. So I just kind of wanted to start with this one. What this is, by this company, this is a mixture of unbleached beeswax and mineral oil. And the reason they add the mineral oil is just simply to make it so you can get it out of the can. Otherwise it'd be rock hard. So it's a little, you know, it's still very, very much a solid, but it's doable. You can get it out and rub it on something. So that's why the mineral oil's in there. But anytime you use a wax has its purpose, but it doesn't really have, contrary to a lot of people's belief, it doesn't have a lot of durability. It's not going to stand up to setting a glass on it with water on it or a lot of use. Wax is very good for things that aren't handled very often. So it's very good for something on a wall or a piece of artwork or something that's just not used a lot. It has a beautiful look to it. Wax is very nice and kind of a soft glow to it. It has a look that you won't get with the other products. It's just kind of a soft velvety glow. It's very, very good looking look. And we have other types of wax too, but this particular one is food safe because the beeswax and the mineral oil, those are both considered food safe. So you could use this on a cutting board or anything that comes into contact with food. And because of the mineral oil never dries 100%, so it's not a good one to put over another type of product just because that oiliness is kind of sort of always be there. We have other waxes that will dry, more like carnauba wax and that kind of thing, so they are very good for that. But this one is meant to be a maintenance product. You put it on, and because the oil is kind of oily, and then over time it kind of evaporates and so forth, you might want to have to reapply, especially if it's cutting board, something that's used. It's going to get used up and it needs to get reapplied. But you basically put this on a piece of raw wood, let it sit a little bit because it'll penetrate, especially because of the mineral oil in it a little bit. Let it sit for a little bit, maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes or so, and then just lightly buff it, and you're done. And that's going to be what it is. But it does have a nice look to it. So it's more for, food sake. Yes, sir?
On a cutting board, how long after you clean the cutting board can you put it on? Like, how long does the board have to dry?
Well, you just want all the moisture out of there, because once this is on there, the moisture can't evaporate anymore. So, excuse me, I'd probably give it an hour or two just to make sure the water's out of it. I mean, it depends on, did you soak it? Did you have it in the sink and let it sit and it really absorbed the water? Then I might let it dry all day. But if you just wiped it down, it's hard to tell exactly unless you have a moisture meter, to tell how dry it is. But you do want to make, anytime before you put a coat on, you want to make sure all the water's out.
Rick and I actually did a video on that beeswax. And because I had made these and I wanted something other than polyurethane or something on it, because I wanted to make sure that lid would slide. So we used some of this wax. And and he told me then, he said, it's not a one and done. He says, you'll probably want to add to it at some point. And when you check this out at the end, it probably needs a little bit.
Yeah, it looks a little dry. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that's been well over a year ago, about a year and a half ago.
Probably almost 2 years, yeah.
So, but boy, sure is a nice way to do it. It was easy to put on, and
and to your point, because it's a wax, it does act as a lubricant in here. So.
And I was afraid if I put a finish on there that it'd just gum up and I wouldn't get that lid out. So anyway.
The other thing this is good for is like kids' toys, especially younger kids. They might chew on it because it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt them. It's totally digestible on it. So, so kids' toys, cutting boards, anything like that, but don't look for durability out of it. It will protect the wood from moisture because it is a wax and the oils, but it's good for that. So from there, you start moving into what I call the modern finishes, which is a water-based high performance. We have an oil-based armor seal. We have an oil-based sealer cell, and there's some other ones I think Dennis is going to talk about as well. But let's talk about this one next, the water base. We'll start with this one. I've used literally gallons of this product on different projects. It's I think one of the best in the market. It's polyurethane. It comes in everything from a dead flat to a flat, and they have a flat that has wax in it, and it has that soft wax look. So it's a polyurethane with a wax look. So very interesting product. And then there's a satin, a semi-gloss, and a gloss on top of that. So all kinds of choices, but it is a top coat. So it's meant to sit on top. You typically recommended about 3 coats of this is what you're going to put on. You can do 2, but 3 is a little bit better. You do need a little bit of thickness for protection, and it's a nice look. It's a nicer look. But this particular one is, it's not as easy as oil to work. So to Kim's comment before, it is a little trickier to apply, but it's not hard, but you just got to be aware of how to use it and apply it. I built my wood shop over the last couple of years, and all the walls are pine siding, and all the walls have 3 coats of this on it. And some of the boards I did before I put them up, some I did, I also have some 4x8 sheets of plywood I put up, which is the backing for some cabinets I'm building. But I put those up and then I put this on. And I did some spraying. You can spray this. You can brush it. You could even roll it. You cannot put this on with a rag. Anytime you have a water-based product, do not attempt to use a rag. You can use a rag with oil, but you cannot do that with water-based. And the main reason is 2 reasons. One is it dries too fast. So it'll start drying before you can get it out. And the rag has a tendency to pull the water out of it, if that makes sense. So you think of like a cotton rag, and the water will go into the rag, and then you have polyurethane left on it. And it just gets to be a gummy mess, trying to put it on. So not like oil. But when you're putting this on, you can use a foam brush. If you're going to use a bristle brush, you want to use a synthetic brush, which is a nylon or a polyester brush. You do not want to use a natural bristle brush. This is for oil only. If you try to use a natural bristle brush in water, it just goes limp. It's terrible. It just doesn't work. It's just hair. It's some kind of boar's hair, horse hair, something like that. You put that in water and it just can't control it. So that's for oil. But a synthetic brush, a foam, you could spray it. If you use a roller, you want to use a roller. There's a roller out there. There's like a velour. There's also a mohair roller. Those are good. What you want to stay away from are the foam rollers because it introduces too much air. The foam is full of air pockets. And if you put it down and you start rolling it out, all that air gets worked into the product and you potentially could have all these bubbles, especially if you're kind of whipping it along and just agitating it. But the key to, excuse me, the key to putting this down is speed. You have to maintain a wet edge at all times with any product, but it's harder with this because a water-based product, the advantage / disadvantage is it dries really fast. And by fast, I mean from my own personal experience putting this down, when I put it down, if I'm doing this board, I want to use plenty of product and I want to lay it down. I am not painting. Big difference between painting and putting down a finish. I'm not doing this. That would be bad. With this, you just want to, with the grain, one direction, light strokes. You don't want to push down on it. You do not want to back brush it. You're going to risk streaking in it if you do that, and you won't get a very good finish. Plenty of product, lay it down in one direction, and I'm just kind of lightly. Do also never overwork it, because literally this is going to start setting up in under 30 seconds. You don't have all the time in the world to play with it. Just put it down, move on. It shouldn't take you more than 1 or 2 strokes. That's it. That's all you got time for. Now, the way to do a larger board that I discovered, because I had to think about this because I was aware of this issue, and I thought, how am I going to hand brush a 4x8 sheet of plywood and keep a wet edge at all times? So the solution became very simple, is you work in 1 foot square sections. Keep it small. So what I did is I broke down the 4x8 in my head to just 1 square foot sections. So I would put this product, and by the way, I don't care what kind of product you're using, never dip your brush into the original can. Always pour off. You stir it up very, very well, and keep it stirred up while you're using it, because the flatter the sheen, the more flattening agents there are in there, which are actually solids. It's a solid particle, and if you don't keep it stirred up, you can end up with a gloss, even though it says flat, because it settles. So you have to keep it stirred up, but pour off what you're only going to use for that project into something else. I like glass jars because they're so inert. They're just perfect for that. And then just seal this up, don't leave it uncovered, and put it away. And then use this up as best you can and add to it, but never contaminate the original product, because you're introducing whatever's on the board and you're also introducing bacteria into here. So pour it into there and you'll keep it nice fresh. So the board, the 4x8 sheet, I would do approximately a foot square, and then I'd say, okay, what's my wettest edge? Well, since I just started, either one, pick one. I'm started in a corner. So then I do another foot square, I drop down and I do this one. Then I think, okay, now what's my edge that's the oldest? Well, now it's this one up here. So then my next square becomes this one. So I've got my original in the corner, the one I dropped down underneath, and then I did this one. And then I think, okay, now where's my drying edges? Well, down here, so either here or here. And you just kind of work down like that, and it works very well. I was very successful doing that.
How do you integrate the 2 different squares?
So, good question. So because the edge is still wet, they'll integrate.
Right.
That's the key. If it's been several minutes, it's not going to integrate very well. Modern coatings do not blend. They just don't. And once they start drying, they just won't blend. You can't touch them up. So that's why you got to move along. You got to keep going fast. Don't answer the phone. This is got to get this done. Put it down, brush it out, keep it in the wet. But if I'm doing this board and I just did this, and then I'm dipping down, I brush dry in the wet, and I do a very light brushing it in. So I just drag it up and I just let it lightly blend. It'll be beautiful. It blends beautiful. One nice thing about this, you're going to see some brush marks when you use the brush, but it does a very good job of what they call tightening down, which means the brush marks are going to level out. So you're going to see brush marks. The majority of them will go away if you leave it alone. If you try to go back after a couple minutes and go, oh shoot, I missed a spot here, I'm just going to touch it up. Can't do it. Yes, sir.
If you do a 4x8 with an oil, do you get a better blend?
You have longer.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's the biggest thing with water base is just, it dries so fast. This goes through a 2-stage drying process. The first stage literally starts happening in 30 seconds. It goes into a gel state. So it starts drying and it becomes very gel-like. Well, imagine trying to blend into that. When you've got a liquid and you've got something that's become a gel and you drag your brush into something that's turning into a gel, yeah, doesn't work. So just move along, work in small areas. If you're doing a big tabletop, 2 people, 1 on each side. 1 person can't do it. It just doesn't work as well. I mean, you can do the small, you should be pretty successful with it, but it's easier and better if there's 1 on each side and you're just moving down the center. Or like to Kim's point before, you could spray it. You can spray this product. And that works, it's faster and it works
Maybe
well.
you already talked about it while I was screwing around with the camera, but have you ever done where you have 2 people, 1 rolls, 1 just tips with the brush?
I haven't done that myself, but yeah, you could do that. Yeah. 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 Let's see, what else? If you do miss a spot and it's been several minutes, too bad, so sad. Catch it on the next coat. Do not, and I know this from experience, do not try to go back and touch it up. It's just going to look bad. Yes, sir.
What about shelf life? If you use like half a can, you want to put it away.
Yeah.
I've tried things like Bloxygen with oil finishes, but if you got air in the can, is it going to
Yep,
ruin it?
it is. It's going to react with it. So there's a number of choices. They'll talk about the bags, which are a great choice. In a can, if you've got half a can or less, if you don't have the bags, you want to maybe, like I go to Hobby Lobby and I buy their little glass craft jars of different sizes. They're like $1 or $2. They're like the mason jars with the nice seals. They work great. So I have all these different sizes. So if I get half a can, I might pour that into a smaller just to get that oxygen bubble down. I have the Bloxygen, which is argon gas, basically that you spray into. It's heavier than air. So it settles down over it and displaces the oxygen because it's the oxygen that's reacting with the product and causing it to crystallize and start setting up. So I pour a lot of my stuff into and label it. What cheese was that? I don't know. But anyway, speed. If you miss a spot, you're going to sand with like 220 in between coats. It's just, when I say sand, it's scuff sanding. You're just trying to get adhesion. That's all you're doing. You're not trying to, because you don't want to sand too much because you'll sand it off. So you sand in between coats. It'll dry in 2 to 4 hours. 50% humidity, 70 degrees is the standard that everything goes by as far as how long it's going to take to dry. If you have anything other than that, it's going to affect the dry time. But you can do all 3 coats. I've done it the same day because this dries so fast. But it's critical that you give it enough time to dry. Do not rush it. You can't go by, oh, it's dry. It's been 10 minutes. No, it's not. It is not. You can't do it by just feel. If you put this on too much too fast, you'll get cloudiness. And what the cloudiness is, a haze, it's trapped moisture. It can't get out. And you can't get rid of it. You'll have to sand it off. So if you see cloudiness, you're putting on too much, too fast, it's not drying in between coats. So very important to just patience. We have to learn patience. It takes time for these things to dry. The other thing that's cool that you can do is anytime you get with the flattening agents on any product, but especially these because they go all the way from dead flat up to gloss, you lose a little bit of clarity. Because to get that sheen down and that flattening, it's a solid. So they're putting that in there. So a little trick of the trade that you can do if you want as much clarity as you can possibly get, and especially if you're having trouble with streaking, the flatter the product, the more likely is streaking that you'll get. And the reason you're getting streaking is you're putting on too much pressure and you're back brushing. So do not back brush, not too much pressure. That can cause streaking, especially the flatter the sheen, the more likely that is to happen. But what you can do is, let's say you're going to do 3 coats of this. So put on 2 coats of gloss or semi-gloss, no flattening agents in gloss, just clear. You don't have to worry about the streaking so much. The only coat that matters as far as sheen is your last coat. Now after your 2 coats of gloss or semi-gloss have dried, now put on your flat or your satin or whatever it is. Now you got your sheen, but you're looking through 2 coats of nice clear and 1 coat of something with some solids in it. If you do 3 coats of flat, I mean, it's not like it's going to be, oh, obviously you did flat here because I can't even see the grain, you know, over here. It's not like that. There's a very, very subtle difference between it. But if you want perfection and you want as much clarity as possible, then put down a couple coats of gloss and then do your last coat with the sheen you want on it. Or do all 3 coats of gloss and do a light scuffing of the last coat to just dull it down a little bit. That's more work though. Anything on the water base? Of course, I'm running along, I always do.
It's okay.
Okay.
You talked about using 220 for a scuff sand between coats.
Yeah.
How do you clean that? Do you brush it off?
Oh, good question.
Wipe it off?
What I do is I vacuum. Do not skip the vacuuming because if you wipe it, even with those oil cloths or a microfiber cloth, it's not going to get it all out of the grain very well. The vacuum cleaner will get 90% of it. And then I come back over it with one of 2 things. Either a microfiber cloth that's got a very lightly, and I mean lightly damp, works really well. With water. And then of course you got to give it a few minutes to dry. Or the oil cloths work really well. But be careful because there's good oil cloths and there's bad oil cloths. Some of these cloths will leave behind residue. You don't want that. Some of them have wax and silicones in them. Bad. So, but a lot of the newer ones, it'll say right on there, won't leave a residue. They're specifically made to do that. Just make sure it says that. And I think ours does. The ones we have out there say that. Any other questions on the water? The oil won't take as long because it's easier.
Can you dampen the tack rag with spray shellac? I've heard of it being done as a tack.
Why? I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
Yeah. One, it's going to dry and it's going to start getting gummy, and now you're adding another product, and no, I wouldn't do it. Before I forget, one thing I want to mention here is this. Remember I mentioned on the water base it doesn't do much for the darker woods. It's kind of a dead look. There's a fix for that. If you want to use water base, you're like, I just really want to use the water base because of the cleanup and the low odor or whatever, but I've got walnut. And I remember Rick said it's not going to look as nice. There's a fix for that, and it's this. So oil is what makes the wood pop, the color and the grain. So use the best of 2 worlds. So here is Seal Coat is a wax-free shellac. So it's an oil. So you put down 1 or 2 coats of this first on your darker wood. I probably wouldn't do it on the lighter wood, although there's one reason you might do that. But it'll pop the grain and the color beautifully. It makes it look really nice. It dries fast, super fast, even faster than this, so you really got to move with the shellac. Cleans up with alcohol. After it's dry, then put your water base on top of it, because now you've got that oil pop, but you're going to finish with the water base. Especially if you want like a flat, you can't get that in the oil. The other reason to use this, even on a lighter wood, UV protection. Now this is interior only. All of these products are interior only we're talking about. But most interior only products do not have UV protection in them. And I very recently used this and this on purpose. I was making a jewelry box for my granddaughter, and her favorite colors are purple and teal. Okay. So I bought Purple Heart for the wood and hard maple for the sides, and then I did some epoxy in the teal. Well, Purple Heart is only that beautiful purple for a while, and then it becomes brown after a while from the UV. So, pardon?
Gets darker too.
It does, yep. So I wanted that purple to stay as long as possible because I aged it, got it out in the sun, got it where it's a beautiful, beautiful bright purple. So I put on 2 coats of this to lock in that purple best I can because it has UV protection in it, and I wanted to draw up that color in the grain. But I wanted to finish in this. So I put on 2 coats of this to give it the more for the UV protection and pop the color. And then I finished it off with this. That worked.
You apply that with.
A natural bristle brush or foam. Foam would work. Yeah. But that's a great. And the key is wax free. Can't use regular shellac. It's got wax in it. That'll interfere with the adhesion of your top coat. But the other reason for this, shellac by nature has UV protection in it. It just naturally protects against UV light on it. So that's why that's a good product. So real quickly, the last couple things. These 2 are oils. So this is the cousin to this one in an oil. So the water-based top coat, oil-based top coat. This one will have a little bit amber look to it. Still want to put down 3 coats, still want to sand with 220 between coats. This one, though, dries much slower. So it's a little easy to work with. You can put this one on with a rag, but this one you generally do not spray, this one, but you can brush it, foam, or put it on with a rag. So it's much easier. It will have a little bit of amber look to it. Drying time is a day, 24 hours, not 2 to 4 on it. So you're going to have to wait a little bit. I had a customer come in one day, and it was like Wednesday, and they had just finished a project, and they wanted to put 3 coats of a top coat on it, and it was due Saturday. And he wanted to use water, and he wanted to use oil. And I said, not happening. And he says, well, why not? And I said, because it's 24 hours between coats. And this is Wednesday. And you want to give it to him on Saturday. Plus, there's a little bit of curing and dry time. Oh, which I should mention, there's a difference between dry time and cure time. Dry time means it's dry, I can handle it, usually a couple days. It is not cured. Cured means it's reached full hardness. Most products, a rule of thumb is, full cure is 3 to 4 weeks. You'll get 80%, and again, this is really general, 80% of your cure within the first week, but it takes, even in paints too, it takes 3 weeks, 4 weeks before it's at the point where it was designed to be, resist scratching and scuffing. So it's still soft after a few days. So if you do a bookshelf and you're going to put this up and you just coated it, and then you're going to slide all kinds of things on it after a day, expect scratches, on it. But it's 24 hours in between to put this on. So this is going to be 3 days for 3 coats, not 1 day for 3 coats on it. So plan ahead. That also affects which one you're going to pick. Will take 3 to 4 weeks to fully cure. Must be dry between coats. How can you tell it's dry? An oil is a little easier. Obviously you can't, it has to feel dry. It'll normally feel cool to the touch. And the trick is take a cotton ball and just tap it. And if no cotton sticks, it's dry. Otherwise it'll pull just a couple hairs off that cotton ball, and if it sticks, it is not dry. The other rule of thumb is, can you smell it with oil base? As it's drying, it's off-gassing, right? The solvents are coming off of it. So if I've done this board and it's been a day and I go, and I still get a pretty good aroma off there, it's not dry. It's still off-gassing, it's still drying. Another question we get is, can you mix oil and water? Can I put oil down and then put water over it and vice versa? Absolutely, as long as you follow the rules of drying time. So if I put down oil and then for whatever reason, maybe it was an oil stain or something, and I want to put a water-based top coat over it, totally acceptable. However, you've got to let this dry minimum of 72 hours before you put the water over it. Because if once you put water over an oil, it can't off-gas anymore, and that's not good. So you got to make sure it's completely dry. And again, those numbers are minimums. 72 hours at 70 degrees, 50% humidity. If you're gonna go the other way, it's 24 hours because water-based can dry fast, but still, it's a minimum of 24 hours before you put an oil over a water on it. But patience, cannot rush these things. We're dealing with physics here. Cannot rush them. This one is very similar to this. The difference is this is a urethane. This is a urethane with linseed oil and a little bit of wax. This is what they call Seal-A-Cell, and this actually soaks in. So this would be a product, if you came in and said, I don't want a top coat, I don't want anything in the top, I don't need a sheen, I want a natural look, I just want it to soak in, that's this. It's very thin, it's thinner than this, and this is thinner than this, but it's meant to soak in. Typically 1 or 2 coats, you put it on, you let it soak like 20 minutes, and you wipe off the excess. And then you wait a day, and if you want to put a second coat on, you can. But it'll soak in, fairly protective, but it's in the wood. It's not sitting on top of the wood. So it's not going to protect against scratches and those kind of things. It's a different look on it, but it's a beautiful look. So it just gives you another option. And then the last thing I want to talk about real quick is how do you choose an oil or water as far as like hardness or water resistance? One is better than the other. A good general rule with these products that we're looking at here, the oils are a little more water resistant, chemical resistant, and a little harder than this one. But this is no slouch. This is a decent finish. But these will be slightly higher. Now, one of the things I like about General Finishes, if you scan with your phone the QR code on here with your phone, it'll take you right to their website on that product and give you more information than you could possibly even want to read, but it's there, technical specs and everything. One of the things about General Finishes, they do an awesome job on technical specs. So if you truly want to know which finish is harder or more water resistant or more chemical resistant, you can look it up. And they actually have numbers on there to rate them.
How can you get one of those sheets?
This is on their website.
It is printed on.
Yeah, I just printed it off. And they have all these sheets for all different kinds of products. But just real quickly, like for instance, hardness is rated on a Koenig number scale. It's a machine that, I won't get into the details, but it rates hardness of finishes. And this one has a hardness of 59 from 1 to 100. And this one has a 77, and this has 77 as far as hardness. As far as water resistance on a scale of 1 to 5, these are both 5. This is 4. And as far as chemical resistance, this is a 93, this is a 90, and this is a 99. Now you can go higher than that because these are just single component. You use them as they are out of the can. If you need harder, see, and that's another thing. It's like, do I need the chemical resistance? Do I need water resistance? Do I need just hardness? I mean, am I looking for scratch resistance? What am I looking for? They have an entire line we haven't talked about, and we can do another time, called Enduro. It's their professional line. It's the next step up from these. These are more like DIY type products. Pretty bulletproof, easy to use. The Enduros, some of them are 2-component, so it takes a catalyst. Some of them are not. But the one thing to know about the Enduro line, they must be sprayed. Cannot brush, roll, wipe. They're engineered at a molecular level to be sprayed only. But their hardnesses and so forth go up. So instead of, I was looking this morning, like the hardness on one of their top ones, instead of a 77 is 125. So bar top, commercial bar top, that kind of thing. So you can, you can move up into those kind of categories. But General Finishes is great because you can get those numbers. You can actually go in and say, well, which one is harder? Which one is more water resistant? You can go in and when you click on the products, there'll be a tab that says specifications. You click on that, and then you scroll down toward the bottom, and it'll have the Koenig numbers, the water resistance numbers, all those numbers are on there. You can do that for all their products on it. They do a great job of that. Questions? Yes, sir.
If you use it in a water area, say a kitchen countertop, do they still would it still be like recommended 3 coats, or would you have to increase the number of coats if it's in a water area?
So one thing about, so you're talking about a couple different things. One thing to know is there's a misconception that, okay, so they say 3 coats is what's recommended. Adding more coats does not increase durability. It increases resistance to like scratching the wood because you're building up thickness, but it doesn't make the finish more durable. It only gets to a certain point of durability, and having 5 coats versus 3 coats doesn't make any of these more durable. It just makes them thicker. But if I was going to do a countertop, oil would be a little more preferred because it is more water resistant than this. I have a sink in my wood shop, and I've got the pine car siding is like this far away from the sink. So anytime I use sink, I wipe down because splatter. And one time I didn't do that, and I don't know how long the water was on there, but I have these little white spots. And it could have been days. But I do know when they test this, their chemist told me that one thing they do to make sure they've made a good product is they coat a board in this, let it cure, and they put it underwater for 24 hours and make sure it holds up. Now, you're not supposed to do that, of course. This is not for underwater. But that's their test to say, is this going to hold up most things? And it passes. I think this water was little droplets were on there for days, because I got tiny little white spots on it. So I don't know. I mean, if you're going to wipe up after you've put water on, this would be fine. But if you're not, it's probably not. I'd probably actually use one of the Enduro products if you can spray it, would be my first choice. But, this would be my other one if the amber is okay and so forth. Any other questions? Sorry, it took a while there.
Oh, no, it's good. All good information. Thank you.
All righty. Well, I'll be around for a little while, so let me know if you have any other questions.
They sell a finish to put on cutting boards. I
Yeah.
don't know what's in it, but I use it. It works quite well.
Yeah, so cutting boards, food safe is basically anything with mineral oil or beeswax is usually those combinations are in it. I think you're going to talk about that polyurethane gel, which is actually food safe. Kind of a unique product is another one that you can use that we have all those.
Well, who wants to follow that? I was just going to talk about the 2 or 3 finishes that I like, because I don't like the finish that well. But I'm not the technician he is, so I'm just talking about what I like and how I use it. So, like we talked about, this was beeswax. It works pretty good. I'm going to have to take this home and put a little bit more on it. I can see that. But the 3 finishes I use the most is probably going to be spray lacquers. And if I'm in a hurry and I need to get it done, they tend to work pretty well for me. And Rick could tell you, no, I can't. I've used both, and they both did a great job. I think actually this bowl here is actually with this spray here. And I liked it really well. This, I think, is a little bit more expensive. And honestly, I don't know the difference, but I just try stuff. And I actually use that on the candy dispenser. And I did that mostly because to brush something on or whatever, that had just been impossible for me. So I just sprayed it. And it works great. So that turned out good too. So
neat project too.
But it seemed like the thing to do because there's a whole lot of end grain on this thing and it just soaks it up. So I think I put probably 6 coats or so on that. And how I did it, just so you know, is I built myself a little lazy Susan. And then I always cover everything up with wax paper. So if this were that candy jar, I just literally turn it as I sprayed. And I just keep spraying in light coats. And then it dries in 15 minutes or so anyway, and then I just put another coat on. When I'm doing the lacquers, I always go out into the shop in the garage, which is heated, but it's not like my basement. You know, because the lacquers, they smell. I can't do them in the basement. And so usually when I'm spraying a lacquer out in the shop, I have a box fan, 20 by 20 box fan that I've taken and taped a furnace filter on it. And that is fairly close to where I'm spraying, so it'll just pull that overspray right on through. And I always cover everything with this this paper. This is a good thing to have too. And so if I'm doing a lot of spraying, earlier this fall, I was actually spraying a bunch because I'd made 3 different river table, end table kind of things. And so I actually had a filter on both sides of the fan, and that seemed to work really well because I was really spraying quite a bit at that time. But you still get the odor, the overspray is kind of taken care of. And so, I mean, I always run my air filter and I crack the doors on the garage just a little bit so I got plenty of air going through there. And I always wear a mask when I'm doing these. So anyway, this is a nice thing to have if you're doing smaller stuff because it's pretty fun to be able to just spin it around and get it done. So.
Do you have to sand between coats with lacquer, Dennis?
Well, funny you say that. So a lot of times I find myself maybe doing a couple of coats, and then it feels like it maybe needs a little something. So I've got several of these. This is 1,000. There's 2,000. There's 500, which to me is just a little bit too coarse. So I'll just take between coats. I just take that and I would very just softly just rub that around. And then I can spray it again. And all that's doing is just knocking off just little nibs. So that's what I use. These come in real handy for me. Another one that I like is, I'm starting to like real well, is that Rubio Monocoat that Kim and I were talking about a few weeks ago. And this is bacon Paduke that I'd use Rubio Monocoat on, and oh my goodness. It's just a beautiful finish, and it really brought out the color, that bacon Paduke. It's really, there's a lot of contrast in there, so that was fun. This one is actually one of my favorites, and that's General Finishes Satin Gel Finish. It's not a gloss, it's a satin, but I find that to work real well for me because it's easy to apply and I don't have to worry about overlap marks and stuff. And on stuff like this where you have to kind of get down in the crevices and stuff, it's just, to me it's easier to apply because you can do it with a brush or a foam brush and then just wipe it off. This probably has either 4 or 5 coats on it. They say 2 to 3 usually. But I don't know. I get to that 3rd coat and I kind of do this a little bit and I'm thinking, oh boy, I bet that'd look a little better with 1 more coat. And so I'll usually put on a 4th, and sometimes I even actually do a 5th coat. And then you just all of a sudden just see it, that's just what you wanted. So I don't know, this has got 4 or 5 coats. I know it's got more than 3, but again, it's just easy to apply. So I really like that a lot.
And the gel that he's talking about is basically like Armor Seal in a gel.
Oh, well, there you go, see?
Yeah. So it's easier to apply because it's a jelly-like on it. So it's real popular. It's a good product.
Oh yeah, I love it. I did bring something in if you want to see me brush something on. I mean, I don't have to, but if you'd like me to, I'll just throw some on there. All right. What'd you do with my can, Rick? Did you take it?
I tried to bite it.
Oh. He's trying to make me look bad. I did stir this up earlier, and believe me, I caught grief for that too. So.
But that's a good point. Even though it's a gel, because there's gel stains and that type of thing too, you still have to stir them.
Interesting.
Yeah, I stir it every time before I use it. It seems like it's you're kind of wasteful, but I don't know. I live with it because I sure like the look of it. So what I'm going to do is put some on a foam brush. I'm going to do the inside before I do the outside. And I'm just going to get in there and make sure it's covered good. It's just easier to get in these crevices of these bowls with something like this, in my mind. So,
Is that the oil based or water based?
Oil based.
it's, yeah.
Do they have a water-based gel? No.
Yeah.
They also don't have like a gloss finish, do they, Rick?
In the gel? No, they only make it in satin.
How long do you have before you have to wipe it down?
Well, you know, I get it on here, and then I just start wiping it off. I don't really let it sit for a few minutes or anything, although I suppose you could. But I think you get beyond 10 minutes or so, then it starts to get seems like it gets just a little tackier. So it's not as fun to wipe it off.
Are you putting that on pretty heavily?
Yeah, I am. Especially this first coat, because it really soaks it up to begin with. Rick's probably having a fit watching me do this.
With any of those products, the first coat acts more like a seal coat.
It truly does.
Yeah.
So now that I've got that, I'm just going to go ahead and wipe that off.
Do you do most of your finishing down the basement or out in the garage?
Good question, because I do most of my finishing in the basement. The spray lacquers and stuff are the only thing I really don't do, because there's really not a lot of smell here. So this works fine for me anyway. I do have a box fan down in the basement that when I do this kind of stuff, I do go ahead and turn that fan on, just on low, just to get some air flowing around. But whether that's needed or not, I guess I don't know. This is kind of like Rick had said, this 24 hours between coats. So again, you kind of got to plan.
With any of the water
And that's where the lacquer shows up once in a while, is because you didn't plan.
with
Something's
the
got to
water-based
go.
products, you would not be doing this stuff. You would not wipe.
Only with the oil.
Only with the oil. Yeah, the water-based you would just put down and leave it.
The nice thing about this in my mind is that I can put this on. I've got rubber gloves on, but you're gonna see me end up getting my hand in there what I've already done. But I don't lose too much sleep over that. I'm just, when I get done with this, I'm gonna wipe everything one more time, and I don't know, I've never had any trouble with it.
Yeah, see how pretty that grain and color pops with that oil?
Yeah.
It's really enhancing it a lot.
Dennis routed those last weekend, the last seminar.
They are great.
For those of you that weren't here, that's a canary, walnut, Paduke, cherry, and then canary on top.
Oh, I thought you hand painted those on.
No, yeah. No, I'd leave that for Trish. She's the artist. So, now I did that, I'll just wipe it again. And you do want to make sure you get it all wiped off, because you don't want to miss a clump or something like that, and then it's just gonna gum up then. So what I'll do then is I'll go back and I'll wipe where I've touched it, and I'm just gonna set it down and call it good. Oh. And now see, I've got a little spot there, and I just saw that, so I want to make sure I get that, because if I don't, then I'm going to have a little work. But otherwise, I think it looks pretty good. And I tend to like that that amber look that you get with oil, like, for the most part.
Especially on a project like that.
Yeah.
How many coats do you plan on putting on that?
I'm pretty sure that I'll do, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be 4 before it's done. You know, and I can't really describe it to you, but when I'm doing it and I'm messing with it, I'm thinking, man, I think it needs one more. And then I'll do one more, and I've done 5 coats before, and oh man, you just know it when you know it, and you'll see it too.
Yeah,
You absolutely will. So,
That's what I call death.
yeah. You know, these, when you get up and looking around and stuff, those are, that's all satin gel finish. So, you know, these are fun to do, but they're kind of a drag too, you know, I mean, everything's work. But I'll just brush on both sides of this, and then make sure I get all the edges, and then once that's done, I just take that on the rag and I put it inside the rag, just fold the rag over it, and I just start wiping it off. And that's how those got finished. And I'm sure that these will probably have, I just know they have 4 coats anyway, so.
See, and part of the reason you're doing 4 or 5 coats there is because you're wiping it with a rag, and that puts it on thinner. If you're using a brush or foam, it's going to go on heavier. But because you're wiping a lot of it off, so you're getting multiple thinner coats.
Would I be better off if I'm always probably going to use a brush, but am I brushing too much in? Would I want to back off a little?
You can try it both ways. I mean, the rag
what you saw is about how I do it.
Yeah, no, which is fine. I mean, the rag is fine. You're just putting it on much, much thinner. So that's why it's taking more coats. You could try brushing it and leaving it, because you're going to sand slightly between coats anyway, because you'll get a thicker buildup.
Interesting.
So
Well, that might be worth a try too. So, and if you do it, let me know.
And the gel's not runny. It's not, because that armor seal is very runny. It's like wood.
Can you use like a paper towel to put it on instead of a cloth? Or is that just
That paper cloth is gonna disintegrate on you for sure.
These wipe alls work pretty good.
I was just gonna say, these here, that's something we dug up. I mean, he found
Yeah.
when we were doing the Rubio Monocoat. And I will tell you, I did 3 boxes that are similar in size to this one, so 3 of them. And I did that Rubio Monocoat, and I mixed it up, and I used a foam brush myself to brush it on and brush in the cracks and everything. And I think that between those 3 boxes, after I got done wiping it all down and everything, I used 2 of those rags. They are really, really good.
They're lint free, so that's the big thing.
The other thing you can use, like don't use a regular paper towel because you get that lint.
Yep.
But we have those Scott's blue paper towels. Those are pretty good. They're fairly lint free. I've used those when I have a project and I'm like, oh, I just want to get
Yeah.
Right.
And it works.
Yeah.
You know, but not just regular towels.
Do you normally do a large number of those little boxes at one time? Because I noticed you dip from the can. Are you going to use that can? Like, why didn't you pour off? Do you use it that much?
Well, you know, I don't. This is why I was just like, I was cringing, and I was sitting there. Oh my God.
Right, put it down over here. And did you stir clockwise or counterclockwise?
Well, he stirred it with a pencil.
That
Oh, it's
I'm just a guy, I'm a hack.
Right.
I do what I do, I get what I get. So,
him, but I do exactly what you do.
Well, it's funny this morning when he was prepping, we came in here and he's sitting there stirring with a pencil. And a little graphite on it, is that, you
I was looking
know?
everywhere for a stick and couldn't find it in the wood shop.
We gave him a hard time about it.
The Rubio
But
Monocoat.
to answer your question on that though, this is pretty darn thick to be
It is.
pouring out. So I do the best I can, and it seems like, I don't know, I stir good. And it seems like even if when it's a third of a can,
He's still
and I'm
defending
still
himself.
using
I know. Yeah, you're not gonna let it go.
That's all I can tell you.
He's
So
feeling bad, you can tell.
Maybe you just need a small ladle.
this is why I am here though, is to take grief from Rick and Kim.
Big stick, just pull some out.
Well, that Rubio Monaco you talk about, you mentioned that bowl. Is it a two-part sort of thing? It said something, give it like 21 days to dry.
Yeah,
before you
well, I
use it.
tell you,
What is Rubio Monaco?
I used the Rubio Monocoat Pure on, what he's talking about is this one here. Because we routed this last week, and then he wanted in the drawing, so I finished it in Rubio Monocoat Pure, but I didn't have any of the accelerator.
Oh, okay.
So I just didn't do that.
You don't need to mix it with the accelerator. The only thing the accelerator does is it speeds up the cure time. So without the
You're
accelerator,
in an epoxy or something.
it's not a hardener.
Oh, okay.
Nope, it's just an accelerator. So if you're wanting to get, Rick was talking about full cure times and stuff like that. Well, full cure time on regular Rubio, I think, is 21
days.
21 days. If you use the accelerator, it's 3 to 4 days. So,
Which is why I made the point to you, because I wanted to make sure you knew what I did so that you knew it really does need to cure a little longer before you try doing anything with it.
yeah. But oddly enough, it feels dry to the touch
It
within
does.
an hour.
It truly does.
I mean, it's kind of
And
weird
that's a good
stuff.
argument for using a catalyzed product, like I mentioned in a Dural brand real quick, is it's not only, harder and more durable, but cure time is days. So if it's something you need to put in service quickly and you're concerned about that, then you want a catalyzed product.
Yeah.
It's the catalyst that's making the cure much, much faster. Instead of 3 or 4 weeks, it's days.
And like with Rubio, you can go back over with Sheen Plus, like if you want to brighten it up or have it a more satin feel. So that accelerates that cure time to 3 or 4 days. Then you can put the Sheen Plus on top of it 3 or 4 days versus 21 days. So one reason to use it.
Accelerator?
What's that?
Is it as good, same quality?
Oh, yeah.
Do it faster if you do
Yeah.
it let it dry?
As far as I know, I mean, yeah.
Do you guys have any experience with these new UV finishes that'll cure as soon as you hit it with a UV light?
I don't.
I haven't either.
I've seen them online. It looks like the UV lights that they use. It's kind of expensive.
Yeah.
And
My
Yeah.
dentist does. Well, he's turning my tongue blue.
So my thing is I like the satin gel finish. I did a video on it. That stool I was sitting on, I finished that with that satin gel finish. And one of the big reasons for that is there's just so much surface area and there's so many right angles and oh my gosh. It's just easier for me to brush that on and not have to worry about overlap marks and anything like that. And you don't have to worry about runs. So that was one of the things that that attracted me to gel finish was that project. It's just that whole, I'd have gotten a million runs if I would have tried to brush that on. So
How does the satin gel and durability compare to, say, the Armor Finish oil base?
Be very similar. It's pretty much similar, if not the same product, just in a thicker.
As far as resisting scratches and
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah,
that?
it's a good product. Yeah. Yeah, people, because we have gel stains too, and a lot of people love them because of that thickness. They don't drip, they're easier to use, you can control them more, as far as how much you're putting on, wipe them off. There's a lot of a lot of advantages to it. But they only make a satin. And I talked to them once about that, and they said chemically that's the only one they can do. They've not been able to pull off a different sheen in a gel for some reason.
It doesn't make
Interesting.
sense, does it?
So I like the satin gel finish. I do like the spray lacquer.
Doesn't make sense to me, does it?
I use wax paper a lot. I love my little spinner. Works really good on the smaller projects, which that's basically what I do mostly anyway. So, and the other thing is this paper here is really nice. It's fairly heavy, so you can spill on it, and it's going to take a bit before it actually gets through to the top of the table. So it's another nice thing to have in the shop. I actually keep my workbench covered in it at home all the time. And that isn't just because I'm making messes. Actually, for me, it's more because it's I'm just always scribbling measurements and everything down, and it makes a difference to me. So I keep my bench top covered with it all the time. So, you know what you mentioned on cleaning, when you sand and clean and stuff, you did a 50-50 on the, I don't ever mix it, I just pour a little bit,
You can, yeah.
and that's fine
You
too.
don't have to, yeah. You can,
I'm
but
just
I mean, you can
burning
dilute it.
more.
Yeah, you're just burning more alcohol.
Anyway, I do clean my stuff with denatured alcohol. So, and these are a big deal to me. I use these a lot. I use them a lot when I'm doing the river tables and stuff too. They're really nice to have in the shop. And like I said, I think I have a 500, 1,000, 2,000, and 4,000. Then I have a couple of them that I've used that sometimes I'll wet sand something and I'll use those. Works real good. So, I think that's all I got though, Kim.
All right. Thank you, Dennis. Good
No,
job.
thank you, Kim.
He's being sarcastic there. Maybe we need to take it easy on you for a while.
It's not gonna be
That wouldn't be any fun.
You gotta keep shooting at a good target.
There you go. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
And we got it recorded. So how many people here struggle with dust with finishing? That's because we're all in shops, and it's like, it's a dusty environment, and regardless of how well you try to get your shop clean, it's just, you're gonna induce dust. So what's that?
I said, amen.
Yeah. So you either kind of have to embrace it with certain finishes or find another way to deal with it. Now, I made these for Rick. They're not perfect. He inspected them and said, yeah, not too bad. But anyway, when you rub your hand across this is 3 coats of Armor Seal, you can feel little dust particles here and there. And, for the most part, on most projects, it's not a big deal. But one of my first projects I made was a bedroom set, some big armoires, had big oak panels on them and stuff. And sure enough, at that time I was using Minwax before I converted to the General Finishes system. Polyurethane, sure enough, I got dust in it and everything. So one thing that I ended up doing was using paste wax and 4/0 steel wool. And so what you can do after you've got your 3 coats on, or 2 coats, whatever it is that you're using, just take a little bit of the beeswax and then just apply it on top of your polyurethane. And of course, this is after that 21 days or 30 days or whatever your cure time is. Anyway, just keep putting some paste wax on. I didn't use at the time this particular brand, but once you've got a fair amount on there, then you can just come through with your 4/0 steel wool and then just start rubbing it out. And you don't really have to rub that hard or that long, but what that's going to do, it's not really going to scratch it because this is really fine steel wool. It's just going to knock all those little dust particles off. I don't know if there'd be a better paste wax to use than this. Because you had mentioned something about carnauba wax and stuff.
Well, but you're using this for a different purpose. This is a good lubricant. She does the oil in it and the wax, so it's a good lubricant to protect the finish while you're rubbing it. If you were putting this on more because you wanted a more permanent, then I would use more like a carnauba wax. It's a harder wax.
Yeah.
It's not diluted.
Yeah, and I'm not doing this for protection. It's just to knock off all those little,
It's really good for this because it's acting as a good lubricant.
There you go. But anyway, you just take a rag. I do like these wipe all rags. They're just nice and durable.
I'm trying to get him to carry him in the store here. I'm working on him, guys. I'm working on him.
I know it. But anyway, that really haven't affected what the finish looks like. It might dull it just a tiny bit, but this is on a satin, so I'm not too concerned about that. Whoops.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
That's about it. So it's just a way to sort of redeem yourself once you get to that point, and it's like you've got your project all done. And I'll pass this around. You guys can, this one end is still not, this doesn't have anything on it, but these two have that. But it just gives it that nice fine furniture feel. And so on those cabinets, it was a really great solution. I think it would work good on even small projects and stuff too.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that.
Yeah, so.
What was the finish underneath that?
That was the General Finishes Armor Seal, 3 coats. And I did just like Rick talked about, I vacuumed it off. I used an air compressor to blow it off. Took a damp rag to try and get the dust off, but this shop gets used by a lot of different people, and it come back and there it is, the dust is in it, so what's done is done.
So the armor seal, that's oil-based, right?
Yeah.
Can steel wool on something that started out light as water-based, is that a no-no?
I don't know. I mean, water-based is probably a little harder finish, so I don't know if it would, it's not going to bother the finish at all, but I've never done it on water-based at all. Yeah.
You can also use those polyester pads. That's what I use.
Oh.
Those work really good.
Yeah.
Use like the green pad, it's a little more coarse.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the only thing you don't want to use a steel wool on is a water-based finish so much as you're between sanding coats, because the metal, you can get those coming off and embedding in the finish, and you all of a sudden, what are these little brown dots?
Yeah. The other thing you don't want to do is do this, dip into that can with this, because it's just going to pull all that steel wool off. And when you apply it, you'll see some little pieces of steel wool that are left over and stuff, but they'll all just wipe off. So use a rag to apply it if you can. So anyway, just a quick little tip, way to save yourself there. The other product that we've gotten into the store is, and Rick touched on it, is this John Boo's Mystery Oil, or excuse me, Easy Do Gel. And so it's a wipe-on polyurethane, but it's food safe, completely food safe. So it's kind of like their mystery oil that they have, but it's got some polyurethane in it, so it hardens up. I started using this. I installed a couple of butcher block tops in a kitchen that I did, and still have those same butcher block tops 25 years ago that were installed 25 years ago. And the thing I like about it is that it's not really a film forming finish or anything, so it looks like a real natural finish on it, but it's also food safe. But what I do is every couple of years, maybe 2 or 3 years, when that butcher block starts to get like it's been used a bit, I just sand it down with my 6-inch random orbit sander to 220, apply a couple of coats on it, and the thing looks brand new again. So if you're doing butcher blocks or butcher block tops, this is a great way to go. And it's super easy to apply. Yeah, I think so. I don't see why you couldn't use it.
What he's not telling you is all those counters out in the store, the paint counters and the customer service counters up front, he built all those for one thing, but he actually used that, these on that. Isn't that correct?
Correct, and it's looking a little thin out there, so it's about time for us to, those countertops get pretty abused.
Right.
Yeah. So lint-free rag, I am dipping out of the can. It really is. But anyway, it's just a lot like what Dennis was doing. It's really easy on. Just wipe it on the whole thing.
Shouldn't you have stirred it with a pencil first?
Oh man, it's a tough crowd. It's a tough crowd, Dennis.
Let go of it.
I like these guys.
No, I used a stir stick. So,
But he keeps them hidden, so I didn't know where they were.
now you notice when I put this on, it sort of starts to dry out right off the bat. So I just kind of keep going over it for a while and keep rubbing it in, especially on end grain and stuff like that, because that end grain's really going to soak it up. But you know, there's nothing fancy here. I mean, I'm just pretty much slopping this stuff on. It really does. It's an awesome product. Yeah, and you can see it's really starting to soak in already. So put it on, let it dry for about 20 minutes. And then you can just take another rag. This over here. Once it's saturated well, you can just come back with a clean rag and just wipe it down. I'm doing it a little too soon here, but it'll give you an idea of what the finish looks like. And it's not particularly smelly stuff. It's not too bad. But the thing that's impressed me most is just the durability, because my cabinets and my tops at home and stuff, you know, we went through a phase where we got into cooking. We're cooking every night and we're just slopping olive oil all over the place and, you know, veggies, and just really kind of disrespecting those tops that I worked so hard to build. But the polyurethane qualities in it really helps repel all that, where I think a lot of the other oils and stuff, you're going to have more problems with staining and stuff. So I've had great luck with it, and it's just a good product. And like I said, it's kind of like Dennis's little box that he did in the wax. You know, if it does look dry after a year or two, just go back over it with some more. So, any questions on that?
Oil, water-based?
Oil-based.
I noticed when you put the rag down in there, you kind of open it up so it's dry on the edge of the trash can.
Yeah, anytime you're using oil-based stuff, make sure you're not crinkling those rags up.
Spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, I can't say that this would do that.
That's what I do. I've gone so far as
But-
to put it in a jar of water just so it doesn't.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. Or I'll throw everything in there. End of the day, take it outside and let it sit outside. So, and I think a lot of that came from, what was that oil? The Watco. Somebody's shop burned down because of Watco Danish oil finish.
That bowling alley over in Euclid burned down because of spontaneous combustion.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's specific to Watco or.
Find out.
Yeah.
Careful everything I just said.
So anyway, real easy way, nice results, looks great.
What's the difference between that gel and the gel that Dennis was doing?
I don't know. That's a good question. Well, is your gel food safe?
Rick says they're all food safe once they're cured.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know this is specifically designed for butcher block tops. So I would say if you're worried about something being food safe, I'd probably go this route just to make sure. So,
And I'll
but
probably do that the next time I do a charcuterie board or something like that. I'll probably try this. So,
okay, any questions on that?
Work on a workbench top there?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. I mean, this pretty much is a workbench top in a way.
well, like I said, the paint counter and the customer service counters are all done with that. So, and you know how much abuse they take, so it gives you some sense of what they can do.
Yeah, you know, the thing I don't like about polyurethanes on a workbench top is it's slick. So like Dennis built these tops, and I think he used water-based on that?
That is just a water-based.
So I was sanding over there the other day and had one of those pads underneath, and that pad was just moving and sliding around on, you know, I mean, the pad wouldn't even stay in place. So this is going to give you a little bit more, you know, better surface really to work on. So plus, like Dennis, if he spills his M&Ms while he's making his little project, he can still eat them off there. Okay, the other thing, we just got these in. Super excited about them. Are these stop loss bags. Does anybody use these at all? Oh wow, cool. So usually somebody raises their hand. Anyway, the idea is that you know, we all go there. We've talked about Bloxygen. Everybody know what Bloxygen is? Oh, okay. Well, let's say you open up a can and you use half of it. There's a spray called Bloxygen, and what you do is you know, once you're all done, you got your half can left. The idea is to preserve that half can. So you open up the lid, hit it with some spray Bloxygen, and you put the lid back on real quick. What that does is it removes most of the oxygen in that can, so it preserves the finish. So that's one way to do it. It works pretty well for a certain amount of time. It doesn't work forever, and it's kind of cumbersome because you gotta pop the lid open, spray it, get it back down on there. You know, so it's kind of a weird deal. But these, on the other hand, are just bags that are designed for finish. So the idea is that when you can do it two ways. If you get your finish, you can get a bag and go on ahead and put it in here and dispense it out of here. Or after you're done with your can of finish, you put the remainder of the finish in this bag. And the nice thing is you can squeeze all the air out, and now this finish is good for, I just talked to the owner last week. He's got his bags of finish that he's had in those for 10 years, and it's still good. So, you know, at one point in time,
Are you pouring through that little top?
well, I'm going to do a little demonstration here for you. Yeah, you got to be really careful pouring it. Yeah, right. That's what the pencil's for.
So now I knew we hadn't heard the last of it.
Man.
The bowl now, do I?
Yeah, you might want to be careful from here on out.
One works better, 2H?
But anyway, there's a funnel and stuff that you use to pour it. But, you know, with the cost of everything going up so much these days, paints are expensive, finishes are expensive. They're, you know, astronomically expensive compared to what they were 15 years ago. So, and that's not going to get any better probably. But anyway, you know, if you can get a bag for $6, you know, pour the remainder of your can, your $25 can of Armor Seal or whatever in it. It's a great way to go. The other thing I like about them is you can write right on it, the date and everything, what it is. You could even put, you know, used it on my curio cabinet or something like that. So you can always go back and you got that reference of, you know, what you used the finish on. So the other interesting thing is that the owner just came out with what he calls Stewart bags, and these are designed for latex paints or home paints. So there again, you know, our top of the line Benjamin Moore is how much?
Close to $100.
Yeah, $100 a gallon. Great paint. But, you know, you go home, paint a room, and it's like you stick that can in the closet and you come back 2 or 3 years, you open up the can, it's shot. It's all, you know, skimmed over and everything. With one of these bags, you can just go to the bag, squeeze out the amount you want, put the bag back in the closet, and you always have your touch up. You don't have to come back and buy more paint from Trish, right? And it matches, that's true. So anyway, these are brand new and these came out for paint, but
Those might store easier too than cans.
yeah. Yeah, you know, I was thinking I've got a sailboat, and of course sailboats have bottles of rum on them. And when you go sailing, those bottles of rum clank all over the place. And I'm thinking, you know, this could be a bag for a bottle of rum or whatever. But you know, this is what you usually see. I mean, look at this can. And then, I mean, you guys have all experienced this. I mean, it's like, it's all cruddy, and you know, it's just hard to get those cans to seal back up. So, what I would do is I would get a bag when I got the finish and just pour it in, and then you can just pour it in and out.
So if the finish is in paint, you're supposed to stir them before you use them. How do you mix up the stuff in the bag?
You can just massage them, yeah. And you can do that with this too. You can just kind of massage them. Once you open up that cap, it's going to let some air in it, and you can just kind of wiggle it around and stuff. Don't shake it, because if you shake it, you're going to get air bubbles in it. But so I'm going to attempt to demonstrate this. I did it once this morning, and it worked. Let's see here. So each one comes with a little clip like this. And that clip, basically you just clamp it onto the bench, and then this just slides into the clip, and that's your holder for the bag. So I'll go ahead and clamp that down. Yeah, you're kind of in the line of fire right there. Pay extra for that, right? So anyway, the bag just slides into that. Then you just pull the cap off. We have kits that comes with 4 bags, comes with the clip, and then comes with the funnel. It's a collapsible funnel. That funnel just fits on like that. And then I am going to sacrifice one of these cans here. I want to try this one later because I've never used this.
I haven't either.
So let's put that one in the bag. I should probably stir it first. You got a pencil?
Do you want a stir stick?
Run and grab us a stir stick. Is that the one you used?
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. It's like we get paid to do this, Dennis.
Heavens no. But Kim, he's special.
This is a hazardous environment.
I'll just go ahead and give that a stir. Looks like it's a fresh can. So, here's the moment of truth. Sure we've got everything here. Oop.
Oh, you could have done the tape trick.
I should have.
The tape trick and the rim.
I should have.
Doesn't seem to be working like it did on the first one, does it?
Take two.
I think we just got to open it up a little bit here and get her started.
Make a point. So when it
Okay.
pours, it's pouring in and not going to get your backtrack.
There we go.
funnel collapse?
Oh, that must be full.
Yeah, the funnel's not empty.
Houston?
I would squeeze the, never mind.
Hey! Well, you know, doing these things live, this worked this morning.
Also a floor fit.
It is.
Use a full fit.
You should have shown us the rum.
So anyway, I should have shown it with rum, yeah. Anyway, I made a little bit of a mess here.
That part of the can before you pull the remainder into the bag.
Yeah, yeah. So think about that if you buy one of these. Once you pour a half a can or 3/4 of a can or whatever in, you can kind of squeeze the bag and then get all the air bubbles out and then just kind of work them up.
I don't think you have any air bubbles.
No, but once you get all those air bubbles out, then you just pinch it off right here and then just get the cap on. And then there's your bag.
He only did that because he wanted you to take notice of that paper that's covering the table.
Yeah. So anyway, great way to save your finish, and I like the idea of marking them too, because you know if you've got something you've got to touch up, or it's like you're working on that cherry bedroom set and you only got the bed done, but now you got to go do the dresser. You know, you kind of remember what those finishes are. So,
How many different sizes do they have?
that's the only size that I know for the varnish. The
For the latex?
for the latex, I'm not sure how much these hold.
Are you able to use either or for either like could you use the bigger bags for finish?
I think so. It says the only things that you can't pour like MEK or ethanol or acetones or anything like that into it. They say that there's been issues of them blistering on the outside with like MEK is really hot stuff. I mean, it's pretty toxic and melts a lot of different things. And so I think, yeah, you definitely could use.
Half a gallon, let's say?
You know, I don't know what these. Could open it up and find out. Oh, well, it says right here, capacity 1 quart. So these are, well, those say a quart. I'm not sure what the difference is there. Yeah, probably bigger opening for latex paint. Yeah. So these look like they're a lot bigger bags though. But
Yeah, right.
anyway, great product. Think about it with your finishes and stuff. Great way to save them. Any questions? And let us know if your experience goes just a little bit better. Okay. Well, I'm going to introduce you to Trish. She's one of our paint experts. Trish has been here. How long have you been here now? 3 months. She came from the color store. She was color expert over there. Before that, she did a lot of stuff for Ace Hardware and in their finish department. And one quick thing. Now I've got this funnel with all this stuff in it. Just use lacquer thinner, paint thinner, just to clean it out. So that way you can reuse it. So, but anyway, Trish has been doing some interesting things with Rubio Monocoat.
Can I move this stuff?
You can move all this stuff. And I thought it would be fun for her to share that with you guys.
We will be drawing names later to see who gets to help clean up. Last week and it didn't work out.
So yes, so a little kind of background. I started working for Ace Hardware several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago when I was getting my master's degree. Fortunately for me, I grew up in an acreage and can pretty much fix just about anything. And so I wanted to work somewhere where I could help people with their projects. So at that time, I discovered how much I love Benjamin Moore. And I've always been a painter, etc. And so now I'm also an artist. And I thought it would be cool to try Rubio Monocoat on spalted maple, using it a little, I would call, off book. So this is what I refer to as my Bob Rossing, the Rubio Monocoat. So the cool thing with Rubio that I absolutely love, it's a linseed. Are you guys all familiar with Rubio Monocoat? Okay, let's start with that before we start looking at that. So it is a 0 VOC, more of a linseed type oil that is a monocoat, so it's a stain and a top coat in one. So with this product, for application, it can be used on anything else. It's really beautiful on walnut, but it has 54 colors, I believe. Don't quote me on the exact number, but it comes in all these colors. We have a whole sample box out there with all of them on white oak, but these come in this whole variety of colors. And you sand, you prepare your surface, then you have to clean it because you need to get all the dust off for it to molecularly bond to your surface. So what I'm doing with this is just a little bit different. For those of you who are familiar with spalted maple has these beautiful lines in them. And what I see when looking at these beautiful lines is I see landscapes. Probably not everybody else, but I don't know if anybody else. Or eyeballs. I actually considered this one to be an alligator at one point. But I see so many lines, and I think that the spalting is the art in itself. And what I like about the Rubio is it's not hiding this beautiful lines and this texture and this just beautiful image. So I'm actually using these with a regular art palette with the circular on it, and I am pouring the colors into each of the sections, and then I'm combining them just like you would. Anyone in here doing oil painting or watercolor or anything? Did any of you do any art? It's basically all the general concepts. So my actual, like, what I always say is like my money job is paint matching. So if you have a cabinet door, and let's say that you have a factory finished cabinet door and you want your trim to match your cabinet. So we use the really expensive machine to take a picture of it, and then my eye will very gradually match that, adding small increments of the colorant into the paint to match it. So that's like the progression is how I got to doing something like this, because in general, it's the same idea, just like in art school, when you add red and blue, you get purple. So what I'm doing is cleaning that and just cleaning it with the cleaner, the Rubio Monocoat cleaner. And then I'm coming back with the palette full of those. And I'm actually just using art brushes. And I'm using those brushes to work along the lines. And then I'm following in and coming back also with what's called a stencil brush. They're a much shorter brush. And I'm working it in circles inside. And then trying to wait a few minutes. The thing with the Monocoat is that it is a molecular bonding, so it's not like if you leave it sit there for 2 hours, you're gonna get a different look as if you let it sit for 5 minutes, but you leave it for about 3 to 5, and you come back with a rag and then wipe it, and it's a stain and top coat in one. So these, I'm actually, the plan here is to use a router on the back and to use a keyhole bit on the back so these can actually be hung right on the wall. This one's already sold. And then this one's sold. This one, I decided to add a little bit of the epoxy into the voids, just to give it a little bit different look, and then coming back over the top. And then this one is based on, anybody familiar with Katmai National Park in Alaska? On explore.org, you can watch the fat bears. I have to mention my bears. You can watch them feed from late June to October. This is the actual view from the platform, which I thought was fascinating, that this wood ended up being in the same general landscape of the photo from the image. So again, I'm just layering and then using a rag to combine the colors so they look like they flow like the falls. So this one's called Brooks Falls. That's what place is called in Katmai National Park. So this one was actually be featured down at Mainframe Studios downtown on Keogh in February's art show. So I have looked and looked, and I could not find anyone else who's doing this type of art. So yes, I am winging it. There is no manual. And yeah, I'm the only one. This one I did off of the Big Sur. Well, I don't know what it looks like now, but this was a picture before, yeah, of the Big Sur. So the fun thing, I guess, me doing this part, is I am definitely, I don't believe in boxes or squares or staying within lines. I'm kind of following the lines, but the fun thing I love about finish work is that you can do, I feel like I'm like a Bob Ross spokesperson. It's like your thing. You can make it the way that you want to make it. So wood can be a canvas.
Well, I think the other interesting thing there, you're getting really artistic with this kind of stuff, but Rick was talking about that box he made with the purple heart lid and then the maple box itself. You could make the whole thing out of one species of wood, use a pure color on the box part, but then on the lid, use like a deep blue or a purple or, I mean, that's a way to, use it in dimensional kind of things.
I think it would be really neat. One of the things that I've seen really cool people make right now are the chess boards, cribbage boards, aggravation. But the thing that would be really neat for those of you who are into sports or John Deere colors or whatever, that's this product you can mix, and you can make that to make those pieces for your gifts in that whatever color.
Yeah, I think having that color range, 50 some colors,
gives you so many.
That's a big deal.
It does. That's what I love about Rubio.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, and it's one coat, one and done.
One and done. In fact, I did not plan on doing any top coats or anything, or because it is its own top coat, but it can, So that's what I love about it, and I think it smells good. Some people don't like the smell of it, but I think it should be. My daughter works at Yankee Candle, and I think that they should make a candle out of it. I love the smell of Rubio, and that's the other thing I like about Rubio. My art studio is just in my dining room, so I'm doing it in the house.
Yeah.
And
very low odor.
Very low odor, zero VOC, so you can just do it inside.
And the other thing with Rubio, little goes a long way.
That's exactly right. Yeah. So all of these pieces, I have not even gone through one sample yet.
Yeah.
With all of
Do you thin it down or anything, or just use it straight out?
Nope, straight out. And I'm not adding the accelerator. Because I don't need to. I don't need the the 3 to 5 days, because it's not gonna be used, so I don't add the accelerator to it. But I do use mineral spirits to clean up, and then of course, I'm sure you guys talked about safety and your mineral spirits, not to let your rags.
We did.
Yep, good.
Yep, in
Yep.
between the pencil jokes.
Okay, good. So yeah, and then we sell these art brushes too, here. So I just kind of, I don't know, it was really fun for me to, what can I do with what we have here?
Yeah, yeah.
And so,
Very creative.
yeah, creatively. Yeah, any questions? Yeah.
Have you ever tried a more glossy top coat?
Not yet, nope. In fact, I've only been doing this, what, about a month ago is when I was like, I'm just gonna try it and see what
Yeah,
happens.
she keeps running us out of stock on this Spartan. As soon as it comes in, she's over there going through it.
So yes, I could, right? I could add the Sheen Plus. Maybe add some shine. I'll probably do that maybe on this one.
Yeah, it could be kind of neat.
The other thing that I like is that if I mess up, I just sand it back off. I just erase it.
Yeah.
And then come back over and try again. Of course, with art, you don't really kind of, it's all happy accidents.
So you can sand that whole palette
Sure.
off, all colors, and start again?
Start again. Yep. I have the disc sander and a belt, disc and belt combo sander. So I just sand it right back off again. Then start over. And then, like I said, I'm having a lot of fun now with the Dremel. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna add some holes in here and fill it with epoxy. Like, it's just like, yeah, ecopox, that's a whole other thing, but anyway, just, there's just the limits, it's unlimited with what you can do. And now, there was a customer that was just talking to me about trans tint. So that might be a whole nother thing. Anyway, it's always something. So anyway, thanks for enjoying these with me. And
thanks for showing us.
yeah,
it's very
it's
cool.
super, I love it. It's super fun. Awesome.
All right, any questions? Oh, this was that Bloxygen I was talking
I know, I brought it in for
Yeah, I
you.
just wanted that.
The cue.
So it's just a quick, put the lid on.
You said that was argon? Is that what
Ooh.
you said it was?
The Bloxygen?
Somebody said it was argon.
Is that what's in there? Not VOC friendly, probably, or, I don't know. Does it say?
I think Rick said it was a gas.
Gas.
It's heavier than air, so you put it in the can and settle it in and displace the oxygen.
Just says inert gas.
Maybe nitrogen.
Yeah.
Well, nitrogen is not as dense as oxygen, so I don't think that would work.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or you could, or it might push it out.
Yeah, that stuff's heavier than air, so when you inject it into an open can, it settles to the bottom and displaces the air out.
Oh, I see. Yeah, interesting. Good deal. All right, well, thanks for coming in, everybody.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.